I now want to bring in former federal prosecutor Kendall Coffey and my panel here with me for the hour. White House correspondent for the Washington Examiner, Sarah Westwood, and national political reporter for the Boston Globe, Ested Herndon. Thanks to all of you for being here. Kendall, I want to start with you and that stunning tweet. I, in my head, had a split screen of the president tweeting and his own outside counsel reading this tweet. Can you break down the potential legal implications? Why is a tweet like this so significant?
Well, the president is obviously recognizing that there is indeed an investigation, and he's still punching back. And one of the things I keep seeing in this is a White House reaction that is simply not consistent with recognizing the seriousness of the matter. You look at some of the other people who are discussed in the scope of this investigation, they're staying as quiet as possible. They are listening to their lawyers. And so what we continue to see is, frankly, more of a political reaction to what is going on with the special counsel's office, to what is going on with the investigation, rather than a thoughtful recognition that there could be some serious issues here, and it's time to deal with them accordingly.
And Kendall, for correspondents like myself who cover the White House, we're witnessing this incredible divide where you have his staffers, the people who are charged with talking to the press, saying they're not going to discuss the Russia probe at all. It is, in fact, only the president who's discussing the Russia probe. Does he not potentially risk getting himself into more legal jeopardy with these tweets, with this lack of message discipline, essentially?
Well, absolutely he does. If you think about it, at the time James Comey was fired, the official documented statement was it was based on the recommendation of the Deputy Attorney General. Who was the one that connected that to Russia? None other than the president himself. And for him to get through this, at some point, there has to be more thought to the legal consequences rather than political reactions to things that he doesn't like to hear about or read about.
Kendall, I'm going to bring in my panel. Sarah, let me play a soundbite from Morning Joe from Tom Cole, and then get your reaction on the other side, the political fallout to all of this. Let's take a listen.
Look, I think the president can do some very good things with Twitter. He's done some very good things with it. But in terms of investigation, my advice is it's just better not to comment on it. Let the professionals do their job. The more quickly they can do it and get it done, the better off you're going to be.
Sarah, the fact that you have Republicans repeatedly saying, lay off the Twitter, how much is this making the Republican Party jittery, not only because of the stunning development that the president's now under investigation, but because of this message discipline or lack thereof?
Right. Obviously, the less President Trump says publicly about the investigation, the less he can get himself into trouble down the line if more information emerges. Republicans in Congress are struggling to come out from under this cloud, to move on their agenda that's been stalled for more than a month now. Clearly, this isn't helping, and the president's tweet this morning was inherently contradictory. I mean, remember that after James Comey was fired, the White House came out and said this was as a result of Rod Rosenstein's recommendation. Then President Trump goes to Lester Holt and says, no, I made the decision long ago. Rod Rosenstein had nothing to do with this. And now he's back on Twitter saying, Rod Rosenstein told me to fire James Comey. It just shows you how muddy the waters still are surrounding the termination of Comey.
I'm glad you bring that up. Let's look at that exchange, and then instead I'm going to get your reaction on the other side for analysis.
Oh, I was going to fire regardless of recommendation.
So there was really
he made a recommendation. He's highly respected, very good guy, very smart guy. The Democrats like him, the Republicans like him. He made a recommendation, but regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey.
As Sarah points out, the president's contradicting himself. As this investigation expands, how damaging is it politically?
That's been an interview that's come back to haunt the president significantly. We had a message that was coming from the White House saying that FBI Director Comey was fired specifically because of the mentions, the reasons that were given in those letters. And then we had in that interview him saying, oh, I was going to do it regardless. And so that contradictory message, that lack of discipline, has been the reason that this thing has expanded. It has been the reason that they can't seem to shut it down. Even Republicans in Congress, who have often agreed with the president's message, agreed with the president policy-wise, we have seen Mitch McConnell say that I wish he would stop tweeting.
That's right.
We've seen Republicans who are largely supportive of him and have been backers of his actual policy, even when it's unpopular on things like health care, still be upset when it comes to tweeting, because we really see that that has been the vehicle. While it had helped him in the election, a legal jeopardy is a different thing.
Absolutely, and so many Republicans concerned it's putting their agenda in jeopardy. Kendall, I want to go back to you and talk about the significance of the vice president hiring a lawyer. This is an investigation that is expanding. Everyone expected it to. That's what happens when there is a special counsel in place. But what do you make of this move by the vice president?
Well, I think it's a smart move. Not that I think he's in any legal jeopardy, but he's eventually going to be brought in for questioning from the special counsel. He obviously had interactions with Flynn, who's a very, very significant person in all this. And he wants to make sure that even if he's not worried about looking bad criminally, that he doesn't get damaged politically. And to do that, you get a smart, experienced lawyer, which he has, who helps you navigate it through this so that when your moment of truth comes in, you're interviewed, your answers are credible and consistent, and you're fully prepared. That's a good move, and I believe that a lot of others around the White House may be thinking the same way, and there may be more people lawyering up.
I think you're absolutely right about that. All right, Kendall Coffey, thank you so much for helping us understand all of these breaking developments. Sarah and Ased, stand by. We're going to get back to you throughout the hour.